Greetings fellow Decepticons, SoundBlaster1987 here, continuing my monthly vlog series for April of 2022. This time I'll be going through the main collectible toy line gimmicks in the Kamen Rider franchise. Strap in ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a long one because the Kamen Rider franchise has been running for 50 years as of the time of this video. Now, to make things easier, I'm going to quickly explain what a collectible gimmick means before listing them all off. A collectible gimmick is an additional power-up that the Kamen Riders use by plugging it into their belt or weapon to enhance their powers by either changing the suit design to get new weapons and such like, or just charging up their weapon with a new power source and that kind of thing. These are the kinds of things that Bandai Japan created in order to sell more toys by changing the suit design for action figures or to give the role-playing items something more to do. Now, the Showa era for the first 15 Kamen Rider seasons and the first 2 seasons of the Heisei era with Agito and Kuga did not use the collectible gimmick trend because obviously, between the lower budget of the older Showa series and the fact that the Heisei era was just starting out after a bit of a hiatus around the new millennium, it wasn't until 2002's Kamen Rider Ryuki that the collectible gimmick actually started. And this also bled over into the adaptation series Kamen Rider Dragon Knight in the US. The first collectible gimmick for Kamen Rider Ryuki was the Advent cards, which are cards that can be used to summon weapons, monsters or finisher attacks that can be drawn from a deck of cards on the belt buckle. And then the cards can be accessed and inserted into the weapons to access their final attacks. This was the beginning of multiple card-based Kamen Rider gimmicks, which I'll come back to later on. The next collectible gimmick was in Kamen Rider 5 or 555 the following year, 2004 or 2003. This was the first technology-based gimmick with Gaia Memories, which are basically mobile phone SIM cards with the riders' faces on them that can be transferred from a cell phone on the belt buckle to their weapon as a power source. Hence the XC Charge final attack name for most of the riders of that series. Then the card gimmick returns with the Rouse card system in Kamen Rider Blade in 2004. And then, obviously this is further enhanced by the playing card motifs of the riders' designs with things like Joker, Ace, Heart, Club, Spade and such like being integrated into the main designs. And again, these Rouse cards can be used in multiple different ways, from summoning weapons to finisher attacks to upgrading the forms of the main rider suits. Then, after that, came Kamen Rider Hibiki in 2005, which was a combination of the Oni, or ancient Japanese demons, and musical instruments ranging from traditional tribal drums to electric guitars. Not much collectible stuff going on here, although some of them did use new instruments throughout the series to change their form for an upgraded look. Following on with Kamen Rider Kabuto in 2006, the first Kamen Rider series I ever watched an episode of. Unfortunately, there is no collectible gimmick whatsoever here unless you count the fact that the Scorpion, Wasp, Gattack and Dragonfly Zector transformation devices combined together onto Hyper Kabuto's sword for the ultimate finisher attack. But that perfect Zector roleplay item is specifically designed to be all one piece for the sake of simplicity, so not much collectible gimmick going on there either, unless they make a new version that integrates actual Zector transformation devices into the weapon. But, luckily in Kamen Rider Den-O in 2007, the collectible gimmick line made a resurgence with the Den-O liner tickets, which you could scan across the buckle of the belt to access new forms, when possessed by different Imagine demons. Then, another brand new style of collectible gimmick came in 2008's Kamen Rider Kiva series with the glass whistle fusils that could be used to summon the, Basha, Doga and Guru monsters that could combine with Kiva to form new weapon configurations. Then the card gimmick comes back once again with 2009's Kamen Rider Decade, the anniversary season. This card gimmick enables him to access the suits, weapons and attacks of past Kamen Riders, as well as using his final attack ride to transform the bodies of past riders into anthropomorphic weaponry that he can use for his final attacks in crossover team-ups, which he does by reaching into the depths of their spine and turning the riders' bodies inside out to become these weapons. Then another technology-based gimmick in 2010's Kamen Rider Double with the USB Gaia Memories, which are a different type of memorying weapon compared to the 5 memories that I mentioned earlier. By far the most modular collectible gimmick though is the core medals from Kamen Rider O's and the adjacent similar cell medals which Kamen Rider Birth uses. So, the core medals enable Kamen Rider O's design to swap out different animal motifs for the head, torso and arms and legs which have different weapons. For example, the lion head has a blinding light that can come out of the mane to dazzle opponents for a moment. The cheetah legs have super speed and the Tora or tiger arms have retractable claws on them. Just to use the Lata Lata form as an example. The cell medals are not so usable for O's himself, although they are the power source of his Meta Jalaba sword and the Meta Gabriel dinosaur axe cannon thing from his Puto Tira form from later on in the show. The cell medals are more used by Kamen Rider Birth, who uses them as bullets in his Birthbuster cannon, as well as inserting them into his belt to access his claws system enhancement weapons with the Gashapon capsules on his body. Then of course there's the Forze Astro switches, which provide new modular weapons for each hand and foot on the Forze suit, which can be used either individually or in combination with each other to create new forms. And sometimes there are some switches that can split in half to take out more than one slot, like the magnet switch, that can create brand new suit forms altogether. Then, after Kamen Rider Forze came Wizard with his gem-cut rings that give him the ability to either alter his form, turn into a dragon, or use different magic spells in his attacks. For the toy line, these wizard rings also could be removed from the finger clip so that different adapters for larger finger sizes could be used. Then, after Kamen Rider Wizard, came Kamen Rider Gaia in 2014 with the Lockseed or fruit padlock system. I've talked about this in my Kamen Rider Bravo and Ryuga and Figuarts reviews, so go back and watch those for more detail. Basically, they're fruit and vegetable themed padlocks that unlock with a knife on the belt to create samurai themed armor based on that fruit. So, then, of course, after that came Kamen Rider Drive, who collected Hot Wheels like shift cars that attached to the brace of it was connected to his belt via infrared signals. The secondary rider of the series, Kamen Rider Mac, used motorcycle type collectibles for his belt that had a similar gimmick. And then of course there's Kamen Rider Ghost from the following year, who used icons, little eyeball shaped things that contain the souls of people like Beethoven, Tutankhamun and Robin Hood that he can use to enhance his powers by covering his basic undersuit body with a parka possessing the ghost of that power. Then, following that, there was the video game virtual reality of Kamen Rider X8, who used Japanese game cartridges called gashats, which could be used in combination to create new forms. Following on from X8 was the Kamen Rider Build series, which had the full bottles of little mini juicy drop pop shaped soda bottles that had different aesthetics to them that had to be combined in pairs to create the forms of Kamen Rider Build. Then the sort of juices of those full bottles would power pneumatic pipes that came out of the belt when he turned the crank handle to create a sort of industrial press to create the two halves of the body that then took over the civilian form. Next we had another anniversary season, Kamen Rider ZO, not to be confused with Power Rangers ZO, it's a slightly different spelling and pronunciation. But ZO had the anniversary gimmick of ride watches, which are sort of mini stopwatch shaped things with Kamen Riders' faces on them that could be used to sort of travel through time to team up with past Kamen Riders and access armor sets based on their aesthetics. Some of these were not entirely compatible with Zeo himself, as the secondary rider Gates used most of the red rider suits like Kabuto and Drive, but most of the ride watches were for Zeo himself, and some of them could even be upgraded by using a Decades ride watch to access the upgraded forms like Bill's Rabbit Tank Sparkling and such like. So, after that came the Reiwa era of the, Emperor of Japan abdicating and passing over his role to a new person, so with that came Kamen Rider 01, which used little lanyard keycard things called Progrise keys, which had to be scanned on the belt buckle to authorise their usage, and then opened out and slotted into the side of the belt to activate. And some parts of the series did use slightly different transformation devices, like a blaster called a Shot Riser that plugged into the belt buckle, and that kind of thing. I've not watched 01, so I'm not fully up to speed with how all that works, but I've done some research anyway. Following on from that was Kamen Rider Sabre, which used a combination of swords plugged into the side of the belt and fantasy storybooks called Wonder Ride books that plug onto the top of the belt, which are opened by spring-loaded mechanism when you pull the sword out. Finally, up to the point of the recording of this video, we have the new Kamen Rider Revis series, which uses rubber stamps called V-stamps that contain animal genetic material based on the colour schemes of previous riders. So the red and gold of the Lion V-stamp is the Kamen Rider Cougar and that kind of thing. The main V-stamp for Kamen Rider Revis himself is the Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is pale sort of strawberry bonbon pink, raspberry bonbon blue, and a few elements of black. So, that concludes my vlog of the Kamen Rider Collectable Gimmicks. I've been SoundBlaster1987. Join me next month in May 2022. When I'll be looking at the history of Anakin Skywalker to celebrate Star Wars. Till then, till all are one, and may the power protect you, always. But before I leave off, before I forget, my next review will be Chikara Legends Ultra Magnus, the Japanese release of the Combined Wars Leader Class figure based on his More Than Meets the Eye comic book design.